The year is 1983. The United States and the Soviet Union have enough nuclear weapons between them to kill every person on Earth 14 times over. 3 weeks ago, a Soviet fighter jet shot down a Korean passenger plane with 269 people on board. The Americans are calling it murder. The Soviets are calling it self-defense. Both sides have moved their nuclear forces to the highest alert level in 20 years. The world is not at the edge of the end. It is standing on it.
And inside one building, in the middle of nowhere, Russia, one man is sitting at a console, watching screens, doing his job. His name is Stanislav Petrov. And in exactly 4 minutes, his screens are going to tell him that the United States has launched 5 nuclear missiles at the Soviet Union. He is going to have to decide if it's true. In our world, he decides it isn't. In this one, he picks up the phone.
By the time this story ends, Moscow will issue a launch order. 14 minutes later, the first American city will be gone. And Stanislav Petrov will still be staring at a screen that is telling him something he could not have known was wrong. We will get to that moment. But first, you need to understand what kind of night this was, and what kind of man he was, and why the system around him was built to make exactly this mistake. Stanislav Petrov is not a hero. He is not a hawk. He's an engineer, a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Air Defense Forces. And tonight, he is working a shift he almost didn't take. A colleague called in sick. Petrov agreed to cover. He wants nothing dramatic tonight.
He wants to read his novel, drink his coffee, and go home. But the Soviet early warning system, codenamed OKO, has been upgraded this year. New satellites, new software, and everyone who works with it knows something the generals do not want to admit. It has bugs, false positives, glitches that look real until they don't. Petrov knows this. His training tells him the software is not perfect. Trust the software anyway. Therefore, when he sits down at the console, the job is simple. If the screens say missiles, report missiles. That is the entire job. He is not supposed to analyze. He is not supposed to doubt. He is a relay, a human node in a machine. The machine makes the decision. He just passes the message. The alarm is deafening. 1 missile, then 2, then 5. The computer gives him a confidence rating, highest certainty. He picks up the phone. In our world, he puts it down. He spends 23 minutes agonizing, calculating, trusting a gut feeling that the Americans would not start a war with just 5 missiles. They would send 500. He reports it as a malfunction. He is right. The satellites caught sunlight reflected off clouds. 5 phantom missiles. A software error. The world lives.
Can't be.
But here is what no one tells you. Petrov's gut feeling was not solid. It was a guess dressed up as logic. He did not know the missiles were fake. He could not know. The system said they were real. His training said report it. And the confidence rating on his screen was as high as the system could give. He hesitated because something felt wrong. But in this version of 1983, Petrov is tired. He has a headache. He has been criticized for being too slow to escalate. And tonight, staring at 5 confirmed launches on a system rated highest certainty, he thinks, I am not paid to doubt the system. I am paid to report it. He picks up the phone. And that one choice, a tired man following the rule, sets in motion something that will end the world in 47 minutes. General Votintsev receives the call at 12:16 a.m. He does not dismiss it. He cannot.
It comes through the proper channel, in the proper format, at the proper confidence level. And the political situation is exactly the kind of situation they were told to watch for. Therefore, he escalates immediately. Protocol demands it. The call reaches the duty officer. The duty officer reaches the chain of command. At 12:21 a.m., Yuri Andropov is woken. Andropov is told that the Americans have fired 5 ballistic missiles at the Soviet Union. He thinks 5 is not enough for a first strike. It is the same thought Petrov had. But Andropov does not have time. He has 7 minutes before impact if the missiles are real. The protocol does not allow for philosophy.
He says, "Confirm with every available source. I want independent confirmation in 3 minutes." The response comes back, "General Secretary, we may not have 3 minutes." Andropov closes his eyes. "I have spent 40 years preparing for this call. I always assumed I would know what to do." Then he says, "Get me Ogarkov." Ogarkov arrives. He looks at the data. He looks at Votintsev. Is this confirmed? One source, Oko satellites, highest certainty. One source. He stares at the map. One source is not confirmation. Every protocol he knows says wait for ground radar. Ground radar has not yet detected the missiles. But if the missiles are real, they are now 4 minutes from impact. He picks up the line to Andropov. "We do not have ground radar confirmation." Andropov asks, "What do you recommend?" 3 seconds pass. "I recommend we launch." Before we get to what happens next, drop in the comments. Do you think Ogarkov made the right call, or was there another way out? If this is the kind of story that keeps you up at night, like and subscribe. Every history of this night focuses on the generals, the war rooms, the missiles. But there was one more person in the chain, a signals analyst named Irina. She saw something in the satellite data, a pattern that didn't fit a real launch. She flagged it. She wrote it up. She sent it through the proper channel. The warning arrived at the Kremlin war room at 12:27 a.m., 1 minute after the launch order was signed. It was never read. The first early warning reaches Washington. Soviet ICBMs, confirmed by NORAD. Reagan's national security advisor says,
Mr. President, DEFCON 2s launched from Soviet territory. Tracks inbound to Washington. We must act now.
Reagan asks, "Are they sure?" "Yes, sir." Reagan thinks, "I always knew this was how it ended. Not in a speech, not in a summit. In a room at 1 in the morning while everyone is still in their pajamas." He gives the order. The keys turn. The missiles launch. The first city is gone. Then another. Then another. By 2:15 a.m., the exchange is over. Not because someone stopped it, because there is nothing left worth targeting. Petrov is still sitting in his chair. He does not know what he has started. He thinks he did his job. He reported the alarm. He followed the protocol. He was not paid to doubt. He was paid to pass the message. Outside, Moscow is burning. He does not know that. He will not know it for hours. The nuclear winter begins in weeks. Crops fail by spring. Historians will later calculate that billions die, not only from the missiles, from the cold, from the hunger, from the collapse of everything that held society together. Petrov walks out into the gray light. There is ash in the air. He followed the rules. The rules said, trust the system. Report the alarm. Do not hesitate. He did not hesitate. In our world, his hesitation saved everyone alive. In this one, his compliance ended almost all of them. He does not understand what he did. He will spend the rest of his life believing he did his job correctly. And he is right. He did. The system was broken. He was just the man who used it. We teach children that the world was saved that night by a man who trusted his gut over his orders. No one teaches what the gut feels like when it is wrong.